Thanks, Alex. First message. Well done. Good effort, sir. I assume Alex is a sir. Just never know in this day and age. Bear with, I'm just faffing, fiddling about with things. Because as always, I'm slightly ill prepared. Right, here we go. It's obligatory shot of the pool, but it's got its winter coat on. Poor thing. So we've had some terrible weather here for a couple of days. Well, I say terrible. By Anapa standards, it's terrible. It's cloudy, very, very windy, and a little bit of rain. Not too much. Everything's still dry, but yeah, a little bit of rain. So welcome. Let me get this reversed. So first and foremost, I'm on death's door. I'm currently suffering from a severe case of bird flu, man flu, COVID 96.2, NMO, and P-pox. But the most severe is definitely the bird flu. If you're in the UK, you'll understand how severe that can be. The symptoms are very bad. First symptom is that you argue with everybody just for the sake of it. And the second symptom, which I've discovered this morning, is that I can't park the car. So it's clearly bird flu. Anyhow, sorry, ladies. Please don't flame me. Just trying to add some humour to my husky voice. So, cryptocurrency. I know everybody goes, bah. I've been banging on about it for 8 years, I think, to anybody that will listen. It is, without doubt, the single least important thing to 99.9% of the population. Nobody's interested because they've had the programming of the mainstream media and the governments that it is a complete scam. It's only used for illegal purposes. It's used by drug dealers for money laundering and trafficking and murder for hire. And you've heard it all. I'm sure you've heard it all. And if you're still here, it means that you've probably got an open mind, or B, that you've started to look at it, or you have been looking at it for a while. Please let me know in the comments which camp you fall into. Russia recently announced that they will legalize crypto mining, which, if you're unfamiliar with crypto, that might not make a lot of sense, or you might think that that's relating to every crypto. It's certainly not. But they're also announcing that as of, I believe, September, they will be trialing or testing crypto for international payments, or as we call them, cross-border payments. So let's try and talk about crypto. I have tried many, many times to do videos about crypto. The reality is, it is a massive subject, and I've never been able to put anything together that was even remotely cohesive. So I thought, rather than trying to assemble a video, it would be better if I come on a live, and then anybody that's interested in that maybe can ask a question about it, but also about how it relates to Russia. So first and foremost, crypto, what is it? It's a means of payment. It's a transfer of value in a digital age. Let's start at the beginning. Roughly every 100 years, there is a financial reset. There is a change in the way that we transact. You go back to, I don't know, to go back to the Stone Age where they're swapping stone tablets. I don't know. But if you go through the iterations of money, you've had all sorts. I've certainly seen a lot in my lifetime, from paper to plastic cards being used, QR codes, digital money. And let's face it, everybody's money really now is digital. Yes, you might have some cash in your pocket, but generally you will probably transact digitally far more than you'll use your cash. If you're paying a bill, chances are you'll do it through your bank. You log on, send the money. Um, Over the phone, most of that is digital now. You know, GDP, um, GDP, can't remember, GDPR rules stop people holding information. So consequently, they'll probably pass you off to an automated service where you'll tap in the numbers and it's digitally recorded. The simple fact is that money moves digitally now, and the the reason that people are shying away from crypto is that they think it's this new thing, and it simply isn't. It is just the latest iteration of money, the financial system. You know, we've gone through swapping goats and paper money and gold standard and everything else. You know, electronic transfers and now digital, and that's cryptocurrency, for want of a better word. Um, if ever you mention crypto, the first thing people think of is Bitcoin. If you type it in a Google, you'll just get absolutely annihilated with Bitcoin. Personally, I'm not a fan of Bitcoin. I am in the fact that it was the first to break the market and introduce it to the masses, if you like. But there's just much better systems out there, and the future isn't Bitcoin. It might be in the financial system in some way, shape, or form, but it will not be running it. It isn't efficient enough. There are too many failures. There's too many failed transactions, downtime, and the cost is prohibitive. So it isn't going to be used by anybody serious. There are going to be people that will make money off of it, um, and I think if you think about anything that the banks try to push you towards, you should run in the opposite direction. I think that's, most people know that, and that's what, ultimately that's the place we're at. Um, It is, as I said, it's the latest iteration. And if you're thinking of coming to Russia, I'm going to jump about a bit because it is too much of a big subject just to go straight on. So I'm going to jump about a bit. Forgive me. But if you're thinking of coming to Russia, you might think that this is going to be great news and help you. The reality is that crypto has been available for cross border payments for years. All of the big boys have been using it. Russia actually trialed a cryptocurrency in 2018. So this isn't new. This isn't new information. It is, however, happening. Sorry, it's happened. That's the important thing. And that's why I always try and encourage people to just go and research it, just go and understand it, because it is your financial future. It is part of it. And if it's not yours, it's your children's. There is absolutely no doubt in that. It is systemic, it's too big to fail. It is in operation in too many countries, in too many financial institutions, and it's being used every minute of every day. So you're still getting the, the nonsense, but you may have noticed that more and more emphasis in the news is Bitcoin. Oh, Bitcoin this and Bitcoin that. As I said, for me, it's never about Bitcoin. It's just not efficient enough. So there are plenty of others around, and there are approximately 20,000 different currencies. So it is a minefield. Most of them, 99% of them, are just rubbish. They're there to mislead you. They're there to scam you. They're there to throw you off the scent. If you want to hide a peach, put it in a peach tree. But ultimately, you've got to spend some time and start wading through. If you look at the top 10, that's usually a good place to start. So, Russia allowing Bitcoin mining. So let's start with that. A lot of cryptocurrencies have to be mined. So Bitcoin, for example, there's a finite amount of them. I think it's 21 million. And they have to be mined. That term sounds physical. Clearly it's not. It's a digital thing. But effectively, it's solving a mathematical equation in blocks. And when that equation is solved by the computer that's solving it, there is a payout. So there is an incentive for people to mine Bitcoin. And I'm not going to get into the ins and outs of Bitcoin because, to be honest, A, I don't care, and B, I don't really understand it. So there's no point in me trying to comment on the actual technicals of any of these cryptocurrencies, really. There are far more better placed people. And I don't want to be bombarding people that have no clue about crypto and are not interested with technical stuff that I may not understand myself. It's just going to turn you off. But you have to understand that as a means of transfer of value, if you want to send money anywhere in the world, for the last 50 years, that has been the SWIFT system, which is an archaic system. Banks do not want to change the system. So this is why crypto effectively, if it was allowed to do what it's supposed to do and it was set free, it would put every single bank out of business overnight. You wouldn't need a bank because you can do everything that you can do in a bank with crypto. Loans, staking, so you can earn interest off of your holdings. Anything that you go into a bank for, you could do with crypto. And that's the big scare for the banks. And that's why the brakes have been put on. That's why all of the fear at the beginning, everything was thrown at it to keep you away from it, because it would just put banks out of business. And they can't have that. You know, they earn a lot of money. And that's why they don't want to change the system. Why change it? Why improve it? They're earning a lot of money. Don't want to change the status quo. But kicking and screaming, they've got no choice. And I think it's Mahatma Gandhi that's been quoted as saying, first they ignore it, then they laugh at it, then they fight it, and then you win. I'm not sure if that's actually from Mahatma Gandhi. If you look on the internet, you know, multiple things, but that's generally how anything goes with the financial system, because the banks don't want it. So the first thing they do is pretend you don't exist. You know, then they just mock it and just say, oh, it's a load of rubbish and it's, you know, scam and you'll just lose your money, and they just try and bat it off. And if it's still around after that, then they fight it. And then, you know, hopefully it gets through and it comes through the other side and you win. And then it's part of the mainstream. Well, I can tell you now that crypto is part of the mainstream. It's just not on the high street at the moment, but it will be. So Russia is, as I said, from September, trialing international payments for crypto. That's kind of a false start because, as I said, they've already done that. They've already been doing that, and I certainly know that they trialed it in 2018. So I think this is more of a rigorous shakedown for the inevitable, rather than, oh, let's see if this works. You know, Russia, the same as every other country, know this works. It's being used. UK uses crypto. Santander uses crypto. HSBC uses crypto. So please don't be fooled and what we call fudded out, fear, uncertainty, and doubt. Fudded out of crypto. You have to understand that it is the future of money and it is the next iteration. So we're not going to go back to swapping goats. This is the means of money transfer that the world is and will continue to expand and operate on. And the uptake of crypto has been roughly in line with the advent of the internet. And if you look at how the internet first came about, everybody went, oh, load of rubbish. I can remember the internet coming around and people going, oh, this new thing. And I went onto it and went, okay. And you're just staring at a page. You're expecting something magical. What does it do? What does it do? Well, you can do anything. Okay, like what? Well, it will tell you an answer to a question. Well, like what? Well, ask it anything. And it was very much this is a bit of a gimmick kind of thing when it was first launched. And so many people didn't get it. And so many people said, it's a waste of time, load of rubbish, it'll never amount to nothing. Look at it now. Who doesn't use the internet? Really, realistically, what, 1% of the world? Probably nothing like that. 0.1%, 0.1% maybe. The internet is prolific and it's absolutely part of our daily lives. Crypto is following exactly the same curve, and I would suggest that it's probably slightly ahead. So if you look at the rate in which the internet was taken up and how quickly that exploded, crypto is on the same path. It's on the same trajectory. So although for people like me who've been in this since 2016, this is a long time. It's 8 years, and it's like, oh my God, it's painfully slow. But to 99% of people, this is a new fancy thing that they have no idea about, and it's all scary and scary. Um, as I said, financial institutions, not so much, but mainstream media and governments will scare you out of it. And the reason they're keeping you away from it is because the banks need to get all of their ducks in a row, because they don't want you doing crypto. They want you to go into them to do crypto. They want you to have a crypto account in the bank. They want you to um, deposit your crypto holdings with them, let them hold it for you. They'll give you a yield, what we call staking. They'll give you a little yield on it, and it will be better than your current investment, a bit more percentage. And you'll think it's great, and they'll control it, and they'll make it trouble free for you. It's so much of a dangerous minefield, but come into the bank and we'll deal with it all. And the reason for that is, as I said earlier, crypto would put the banks out of business. And that's why it is kicking and screaming, because the banks are trying to get hold of it. They are trying to put all of the wall around it so that they have got it, so that they can carry on earning from it. The biggest thing, I suppose, with crypto, if you look at the right crypto, is the speed of transaction and the cost of transaction. So currently, if you go to make a SWIFT payment to somebody in China, an individual in China, you'll have to give them obviously a load of details. I think it's an OBAN number. You give them all of this stuff. You'll pay a fee. I can't remember what it is in the UK, £10 or £20 for a SWIFT transaction. And they'll tell you that you must allow up to 5 days for that transaction to happen. It's rare that it takes 5 days. Sometimes it can be a couple of hours. It can be reasonably quick, but sometimes it can be the next day or the day after, especially if it's at a weekend, because the banks are closed at the weekend, so this doesn't happen. But the reality is, with crypto, that's a 3 to 5 second transaction. It also is virtually free. It's literally points of pennies. And the bank doesn't make any money off of that. So that's why they've got to get hold of it in a system so that they can sell it to you. And they'll sell it to you as this is a new technology that the bank has been developing for years and years, and they've wanted to make sure that it's safe. And you'll be told everything under the sun about how the bank is looking after you and protecting you. They'll lower your transaction fees to get everybody to use it. They'll offer better rates if you stake with it, so that if you custody your crypto with the bank, they'll give you a better rate of return than you would on your current fiat money if you deposit that in the bank. And all of these things to get you into it. They'll probably change the name for it as well, because they've spent an awful long time telling you that crypto is, as I said, dangerous, used for money laundering, drug dealing, murder for hire, child prostitution, you name it, everything they've told you about cryptocurrency. So what they'll do is they'll change that to a digital asset or a distributed technology ledger, or they'll change if you've been into crypto, you'll understand all of these terms, or you'll certainly have heard of them, but there'll be something. It won't be called cryptocurrency. The reality is that's exactly what it is. It won't be anything different. It will just have a new name because they've dirtied the original name to keep everybody away from it. So I hope that makes sense. So what does this mean for you if you want to move money to Russia? It means that at the moment, nothing has changed. It means that at the moment, you can't just get your phone out and go pay and straight into your bank account without jumping through some hoops, going through some services to actually achieve that. But you can pay money into your Russian bank account using crypto, but not directly. It's indirectly at the moment. And what will happen in the future is that all banks, all financial institutions will give you crypto wallets, and there'll just be a digital record of your transactions, and you'll have a completely unique address, and you will be able to transact directly into the bank 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You won't need the bank to be open to do anything, and it will be instant, and that unique number will be absolutely specific to you. Crypto is far, far more secure than anything that you are currently using in the banks or financial institutions. If you think most of the time your debit card is a 4-pin, that's how secure it is. It's 4 numbers. That's the security of it, and the fact that you're holding it. Um, so it's far, far more secure than that. Um, Also, the other thing that it will bring to the table is accuracy. So currently, about 6% of Swift transactions fail on the first time. They don't go through, or the money goes somewhere else, or something, the bank turns around and says, oh, you haven't got the right number, you need to check it again. There'll be something that they'll tell you, but the reality is the system is flawed. It's 50-year-old technology, so you get 6% of your transactions that will fail. With certain cryptos, that transactional failure rate is zero. So those are all the benefits. Obviously, for the bank, it's a massive, massive benefit. Um, they, the cost to them and the implementation of it, it will say, it will save them billions in transactional fees. It will save them billions in not having to hold money all around the world, because currently that's what they have to do. If you want US dollars in China, China has to hold US dollars because it's a physical thing. So being able to do away with all of fiat money around the world and bring it back to its native countries is going to bring an awful lot of money back into those countries. And it does mean that every bank around the world hasn't got to hold US dollars, English pounds, euros, rupees, blah blah blah. Rupees are slightly different because the only place you can spend rupees at the moment is in India, but that's all going to change as well. So that's kind of, I hope, a bit of an outline of what crypto is and how it's going to affect you. I do urge everybody to go and look at it, to just type it in and start reading. You're going to read so much rubbish. You're going to have to just use your brain, and you're going to have to keep diving in, keep asking questions, keep looking at stuff and thinking, this doesn't make sense. Follow your gut. If it doesn't make sense, it usually doesn't make sense. But please get involved. Please start looking and reading about it, because if you don't do that now, in 10 years' time, you're going to be the guy that thought the internet was a load of rubbish, and that nobody will use it, and you're not going to bother learning anything about the internet. And in 10 years' time, you'll be the only person not on the internet. And it's the same with crypto. So you must get involved in it. So let me just have a look at the chat. See, I don't want to get too far away. Anything but the primate pox. This will be the first time that I won't understand your video, Tony. That is the plan of the video, is to try and give an outline of what crypto is. Crypto is just a digital form of money. That's all it is. And like I say, your money is already doing that. It's already digital. Over here in Russia, people can pay with a QR code. They pay to people's telephone numbers. There's lots of ways that people pay and transact. Cash is used less and less here, and it's certainly something that Western society is scared of. Don't save your cash. You're too late. If you're in that camp, keep using your cash or you'll lose it. You're too late. You're 10 years too late. It's already gone. You're just it's not never going to be a flick of the switch. It's never going to be overnight, right? Your cash is illegal and it doesn't work. It's always going to be a gentle phase, because if you flick the switch on 65 million people in the UK, they're all going to just rebel and you're going to get nowhere. So it's got to be a gradual phase, and that's years. It takes years. The movement of the financial system going from an old system to a new one is anywhere between 10 and 30 years. So, it's not an overnight thing. Andrea, good morning. Trying out a new look, I see, Chris. Not entirely sure where you're going with that one. Do you mean my shirt that I'm always wearing? Or do you mean the fact that I might have had a shave? Or do you mean... No idea. Give me some... Throw me a bone, man. Good day from Australia. Good day. My upside downers. Hope you're hanging well. Jesus loves me, please go to church. Whoever rules the chip industry and the AI industry will rule the world. Wouldn't say crypto. I'd say blockchain is the driving force. Yeah, the reason I say crypto is because 99% of people have no concept of blockchain, distributed ledger technology. I mean, distributed ledger technology was patented in the 80s. So that's how old this stuff is. It isn't, a couple of years old and scary. That was actually patented. Um, I want to say 1987, but for some reason my brain's throwing that out. So whether it's got that from somewhere or not, I don't know. But you know, Google it if you're interested. Um, by the way, United Kingdom is not a police state. Any monarchy, yeah. Please don't come on making political statements. It's not the place. There are plenty of social media platforms for that. Um, who has food and guns to defend it rules in the end of the day. Yeah, but all of that, behind all of that is money, and behind money currently is the new iteration of, and that's the digital age and how it's panning out. So, like I say, if you're going back to the point that I came off of, if you want to send money to China, I've told you about the SWIFT situation with crypto. Once, well, no, it's already possible. If I knew somebody in China, I could potentially send them a payment direct to their phone in 3 to 5 seconds of any amount for pence, or, for points of a penny. That's the difference. And that person doesn't, it's not specific to China. They could be in the desert as long as they've got an internet connection. So that's the difference with crypto. You can't do that with anything else. Think if you wanted to say you want to move £100,000 to Russia, how would you do that? Would you have it as cash and walk through the bank? Walk through the bank. Sorry, you have to forgive me. My brain is struggling. I've got all of these, various diseases at the moment. You must remember. Um, would you just walk through customs? Would you just walk through customs with 100 grand? I mean, legally, there's nothing to stop you doing that. You have to declare over 10 grand. Under 10 grand is fine. Over 10 grand, you need to declare it. It's not that you can't do it. But would you do it? Would you stick 100 grand in a bag and walk through customs with it? What about gold? People say use gold. I would argue that's probably worse. Would you, have 2 gold bars, 2 kilos of gold, walk through customs with 2 gold bars? Going to lose it, aren't you? Going to be all sorts of questions. But if you want to go from the UK to Russia with 100 grand, you can do it with crypto. You can either walk through with what's called a cold storage wallet, or if you've got somebody in the UK and somebody in Russia, you can just send it and it'll be there waiting for you. And you can just turn up and, use your crypto. It really is that simple. And like I say, at the moment, the only reason everybody isn't using it is because the banks have got the brakes on it. And again, as I said to you from the beginning, the banks don't want it. And if the banks could stop technology and innovation, they absolutely would, without a doubt. Why would they want to do this? They don't want people being able to operate outside of the banking system. They want control of everything. They want to be able to see everything. They want to be able to tax everything. The governments certainly do. And they want to be able to make sure that anything that moves, they're earning from it. So they certainly don't want this to happen. But going back to, the title of this live, first they ignore it, then they laugh at it, then they fight it, and then you kind of win. And that's where we are. We're sort of in the fighting stage, heading to the win stage. There's a big crypto case that's been going on for 3 years relating to a certain cryptocurrency. I'm not here to shill certain cryptocurrencies, but there's a huge case, and that is, yeah, it's winning against the incumbents. So it's coming. It's not a case of, oh, it might never happen. It is happening. It's already happening. It's already there. So please don't think that this is just a fad and it's not going to happen. It's there. It's working. It's done. So you must get involved. But yeah, like I say, if you want to send money to somebody with crypto, it's 3 to 5 seconds and it's phone to phone, and it doesn't matter what country they're in. So you can imagine how disruptive that is for the banking system. Um, uh, Cash is petering out gradually for a decade or more now in Russia. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Um, and you, I mean, when I left the UK, I was approached by somebody in the town in my hometown. There was a big um, anti-cashless society kind of gathering, and there was lots of retired people and lots of young people with multicolored hair, um, waving banners and chanting, "Keep your cash, keep your cash." And I was approached by one of these gentlemen, and he said, "Do you know what's going on? With the cash and how they're trying to control you and this, that, and the other." And that do you understand that you must carry on using your cash? So it was a good conversation to have with this guy, because he, after 5 minutes with me, was completely speechless, mouth open, had no clue. He had just been fed a basic narrative line um, by the people that he was with, these keep your cash people, and that's all psyops. Let's face it. It's not just a few retirees that have got together. That's it's a much deeper process than that. But he'd been fed, oh, the scare, keep your cash, and I spent 5 minutes chatting to the guy and literally opened his eyes and his world and gave him lots of things to go and look at, lots of details, and he was absolutely gobsmacked. He could not believe what I was telling him, and I told him, "You're 10 years too late. You're protesting about a horse running in a race that is 50 yards away from the finish line. It left, it's gone. um, and he just couldn't believe it, and that's where most people are, because the job that has been done on crypto is fantastic. It's an amazing achievement that they've managed to do what they've done. Um, but that's what happens if you control the narrative and you control the media. You can feed the story. This is his retirement casual fashion line. Yeah, thanks, Furby. I like this shirt because it's cotton. It's really cool. Um, I meant you are actually wearing a shirt. Yeah, no, that's also good. I'm usually half naked, I know, but it's a cloudy day today, and I'm feeling a bit cold. Obviously, I'm a bit under the weather. Don't know if I mentioned that. Bird flu. Um, so I'm a bit under the weather. So that obviously means I'm going to be feeling a bit cold anyway. But it has actually turned cold for the last couple of days because, like I say, it's been very windy, it's very cloudy, and it has, there's been a bit of rain. So let's drop the temperature. And to be honest, yeah, I mean it's it's only 27 degrees here now. Oh dear, oh dear. It's actually warmer in the pool. I might uncover the pool. Hmm. No, that won't help me. Um, yeah, so it's only 27 degrees, like I say. Yuck. Um, how to transfer my money from Macedonia to Russia? Which way you recommend? Okay, first and foremost, I can't recommend anything. I'm not a financial advisor. I wouldn't know from Macedonia what opportunities you have. Um, and this stream really is about crypto. So if you're asking about using crypto to do that, I can probably comment. But if you're looking to find other ways in which to do it, you're going to have to do your own research on that, I'm afraid. But let me give you a rough idea, an outline of what moving money with crypto entails. So let's start with what we call on and off ramps. Now, this is where the banking system will ultimately control crypto. They can't control the technology in the middle. What they can control is the way that you interact with it at both ends. So, crypto, if you want to pay somebody in China, you will use crypto as what we call a bridging asset. And this is another beauty of crypto. You will put pounds in at your end and you will get yen out at the other end. There won't be any of this uh, currency exchange and all of that. It literally is whatever you put in and whatever you get out. You can literally transact with anything. And as this technology is utilized more and more and more, there'll be more things tokenized onto the crypto ledgers. And by that, I mean, going back to the gold bar scenario, currently, to shift gold, if the US wants to shift a ton of gold, it goes on a ship or a plane and it moves physically. That will be, and I think it already is, there is already gold tokenized on a particular blockchain, but that will be tokenized. So it will have a value, a digital value. And obviously it'll be regulated. Obviously it'll be checked and to ensure that it's correct, blah, blah, blah. I won't get into all of those details, but you will be able to send a kilo of gold to China. And you will put, for example, pounds in at the UK end and get a kilo of gold out in China, and vice versa. And that's what tokenization will do. It will allow anything of value to go digital. Anything. You know, if you want to buy plastic chairs from China, currently Swift payment, they're shipped. Well, the shipping part will still happen, but the payment part will be digital, and it will be, you know, you will pay in native currencies. So it won't be currency exchange. So that kind of makes sense. So currently, what you need to do is have an on and an off ramp onto the crypto side of things. This is where the banks will try and get your get the control. You'll go into your bank and you'll want to send money, and they'll take care of it all for you, and they'll use crypto. But if you want to do it yourself, you will need initially an on ramp. That is traditionally what we call a crypto exchange, and it's a digital platform. You pass some basic regulations that are required of you. If you're in the UK, companies like Uphold, for example, they're FCA regulated, so they're under the same regulations as all the financial institutions in the UK. So completely regulated. But that is the next step. So you get your money from your bank and you'll transfer it to this entity called a crypto exchange. Currently, you'll find banks trying to stop you doing that, and to the most part they can. I'm sure you've all heard of Binance. Oh, it's a scam, you know, it's a rip-off, it's a con, it's fraud, it's fake, it's blah blah blah. No, it just wasn't playing ball and it wasn't regulated, so they just demonized it. Uphold was a bit cleverer. They knew where it was going, so they jumped through all of the hoops to get the regulation. But it does mean that you don't have the privacy with Uphold that you would necessarily with other institutions. But that said, if you're not doing anything illegal, does it really matter? I'll leave you to decide that. But you'll open an account, for example, and I'll use Uphold as an example. Others are available. So you'll download the app on your phone, for example, and you'll fill out the registration process. Part of that process will be what's called KYC, so know your client regulations. And this is to ensure that you are who you say you are, and that the financial institutions have got a trace of who they're dealing with. This is all to do with anti-money laundering, AML. So that they can say, yep, this guy jumped through the hoops. He showed us his passport, his driving license, his proof of address. We've got his digital photograph. This is who this account belongs to. So that's what the KYC process is about. Understand that's no different now to opening a bank account. If you go into the bank now to open a bank account, they're going to want a host of information. It's no different. So when you do it online, the only difference is that you haven't physically walked into a bank and you're talking to a human being. Crypto just takes away that human interaction. And bear in mind, if you go into a bank to open a bank account with all of your documents, you know, your driving license, your passport, your proof of address, and all of that, that bank teller goes out the back and scans it all and sends it straight up to head office or wherever it goes to their, you know, international, their specific department. Sorry. Signing up for a crypto account is no different, other than you're doing that instead of handing it over to a bank person and them doing it. So it's no different. So don't be scared of KYC. Again, there's all sorts of horror stories going around regarding that. You know, never scan your passport, never give anybody the details of your bank, your driving license or your bank card or your address, or, you know, because your ID will be stolen. Come on, it's no different to going in the bank. You know, bank people are supposed to be 100% foolproof and totally trustworthy because that's what, you know, we're told. But they're just human beings and they're paid £300, £400, £500 a week. So if you're going to get scammed, you're going to get scammed. And trust me, more scams happen with real money than they ever do with crypto. I'll tell you that now. That's fact. Far more scams are done with real money, and more tax evasion, money laundering, all kind of that is done with real money than it ever is with crypto, because it's absolutely traceable with crypto. Every transaction is on the blockchain. It's viewable. So you'll open your Uphold account. You'll complete your KYC process. You'll scan your driving license or your passport or both or whatever. You'll jump through these hoops, and there'll be certain restrictions in place. You know, you can deposit X amount of money into the account at the beginning. You know, what do you want the account for? Are you going to be a trader? Are you going to be personal? Blah, blah, blah. All of these things to try and restrict you and box you in. So if if you haven't done your research and you just want to be able to send money, you'll follow all this process. You'll have your crypto account. You'll have your Uphold account. You'll then go to your bank on your phone and you'll send money to Uphold. Some banks will try and stop it. Some banks will flag it as a scam and they'll close your account. They'll block your account and say, "Oh, we've detected a scam." Again, it's to scare you. If you're using Uphold, you need to ring up your bank and say, "Uphold is an FCA regulated company. You have no right to stop the payment because it's no different to you sending money from NatWest to Lloyd's. Why would they stop that? They wouldn't call Lloyd's a scam. Well, Uphold's the same. So it's under the same regulations. So if they do stop it, that's your first line. Your second line is to ring Uphold and say, "My bank has told me that you're a scam and I shouldn't trust you." You watch how quick Uphold gets on the phone because they're an FCA regulated company. So you're going to have some hassle because they don't want this to be easy. It is easy. They just make it very, very difficult for you. So eventually you'll be able to deposit an amount onto your Uphold account. From there, the crypto world opens up and you can buy with your £100 that you've deposited any crypto coin that's available on that particular platform. Here's where you need to do your research. Here's where you need to look at the coins. I would sit here all day trying to explain to you all the different coins and what they are. I'm sure everybody has heard of Bitcoin. That's the tip of the iceberg. It's far, far more in depth than that, and there is much better technology out there than Bitcoin. So please don't think it's Bitcoin. But use your own judgment and have a look. It is scary, but things get less scary if you do a little bit every day. It'll become less scary. So you'll buy your chosen cryptocurrency and you will hold it in what's called a digital wallet. So it'll just be on the screen and it will come up and say, GBP, your pounds wallet has got X amount in it, whatever you've deposited, and your crypto coin of your choosing. Let's use XRP as an example. You've bought some XRP, you've bought £100 worth of XRP, and you've now got a wallet showing XRP. So you've got £100 will probably buy you around 230 XRP, I guess, something around that. I think it's about 44 pence at the moment for an XRP coin. We call it a coin. Don't like doing it, but let's do that. So you've got 230 XRP now. So this is where you are entering into the world of a bridging asset. You now can send that XRP to anyone in the world, anywhere, that has an address, that has a digital wallet. That's where crypto defies everything else that's currently available on the market. So that's the whole point of crypto. So you will be able to get an address off of somebody. The same as you've created an address. Your money is in an XRP wallet that has got a specific address. I think it's something like 72 characters. It's military grade encryption. You will request their address, which is their specific numbers and letters that is only denoted to them, and then you will send your XRP to that address. I'm making this sound simple, I hope. It's a little bit more, a bit of faff, but effectively that's what you're doing. That's an instant transaction. It's 3 to 5 seconds. If their address is on a wallet like Uphold, it's on an exchange, it can take a bit longer. The only reason it takes longer is that the exchanges have a certain amount of time where they take to process it. But the actual movement on the blockchain is 3 to 5 seconds. So it's, it's like this. The good thing about this is there are no currency fluctuations. So with Swift, the banks will hold it sometimes, if it's not in their favor, or they'll move it really quick if it is in their favor. With XRP, you're not susceptible to currency fluctuation because it's instant. So, if you send £100 worth of something, £100 worth goes and £100 worth arrives, if that makes sense. So you'll have this address, you'll send it to this address. That person has then got that in their wallet, wherever their wallet is, whether it's cold storage or whether it's on an exchange or whether it's on a payment provider that they've set up. So it will then show up as, a credit in their account, if you like. From there, that person can then withdraw it through a payment provider to their bank. They can store it on cold storage, or they can send it to somebody else. But that's how the actual digital movement works. Cold storage. Probably confusing an awful lot of people with a lot of this stuff. You're going to have to re-watch this probably 2 or 3 times to try and understand, because I am jumping around quite a bit on it. So digital wallets is effectively exactly how it sounds. Your wallet in your back pocket has your £10 note in it. A digital wallet holds your digital currency. It's no different other than it's not physical. You can have a digital wallet on a crypto exchange with multiple addresses for different coins. You can also have what's called cold storage, which is a physical stick. They come in all shapes and sizes. There are lots and lots to choose from. I'm not going to list them. Do some research. But it's a physical thing where there's a saying in crypto, not your keys, not your crypto. So this physical thing relates to the part of the blockchain that your money is in, and it is the keys that unlocks that part of the blockchain. Nobody else has that. So if you've got it on the cold storage, it's as secure as it can be. Jumping again, just because I've just thought of this. With blockchain, what it is it's a ledger. Now, if you go back hundreds of years, people kept records in a big book called a ledger. Transaction. Mr. Smith came in, paid £10 to Mr. Jones, and it's written in a ledger. That's where it comes from. With crypto, it's digital and it just continuously moves forward. So once it's written, it's permanent. It can't be changed. It can't be altered. And it only moves forward. So these blocks are created and they are a record of a digital transaction. And these blocks fill up. And once they're filled up, they effectively print to ledger. They're written to the ledger. And that's a permanent thing. It can't be deleted. It can't be altered. It can't be erased. So it's permanently there. And that's why it's so secure. If you think about a paper ledger, the book can be lost. It can be burnt in a fire. Where's all the money gone? US are good at doing that. So that's what the ledger side of things is. So hopefully that's kind of given you a little bit of an idea of what crypto is. It is a massive subject, and honestly, I could elaborate on all of this in so much more detail, and that's why I've done a live, because you can either ask me a question now or you can join the Telegram group and send me a question on there. I'm by no means an expert on crypto, I'll tell you that now. And I've been in it 8 years. So it's a huge subject. But I do know a bit more than the average person, I would say. So maybe I can help you with that. If I've lost the train of thought with a particular topic that I was on, please let me know. So sorry, I was answering Margin's question, wasn't I? How to transfer my money from Macedonia to Russia. Open a crypto exchange account, link it to your bank account, transfer money from your bank account to a crypto exchange account, send it from your crypto exchange account to another crypto exchange account in Russia, if you've got somebody there that's got that for you, and then withdraw it to your bank. And that's the same for any other country. So basically euros from your local bank to rubles in Russia. Yep, you could do that currently. I could do that currently with XRP. To give you an example, if I had a euros account, I would purchase XRP on a crypto exchange. I would then send that XRP because that has got a value. Whatever I've purchased the XRP for, it's got a value worldwide. I would send that XRP to to Russia, but I wouldn't be able to send it directly to the bank. Not yet. That's coming, and that's what this regulation is all about. This is the way that we're moving. And what you'll end up with is being able to just send from bank to bank with crypto. But what the banks want you to do is do it through them. Nevertheless, an address is an address, don't forget. So regardless of whether the bank wants you to go through them or not, the address is still the same. So you buy your crypto, you send it to your corresponding address in Russia, whether it's somebody that's got an exchange or it's a payment provider. If it's a payment provider, you can probably set that up from Macedonia. You're going to have to complete the KYC registration, but you can probably set up an account from Macedonia, and then you could withdraw, in theory, directly from the payment provider into your bank account. At the moment, some payment providers can go straight into banks, some have to go direct to Mia card. So you'll have to find out which is which. Yeah, I mean, banks are already becoming obsolete with how things are developing. So I suppose a lot of people are probably wondering why, if this technology is so great for banks, why are they so against it? Well, as I said, banks do not want to innovate. They want to keep you in the dark ages because that's what they've always done. They earn a shed load of money from it. So why change it? But the reality is, it costs an awful lot of money to operate a cash society. Just in the money printing side of things alone, producing money at the Royal Mint, for example, printing it out and then getting it around the country, distributing it through lorries and trucks and all sorts of other physical things. The cost is astronomical, and that's the same cost for everywhere else. Every country has that cost. So to be able to get rid of that cost is a huge advantage for banks. But as I say, the reason they're so against it is because potentially you can negate using the bank. And your £10 note, you must remember, is worthless. It's just a piece of paper. Its only value is the fact that people will agree the value that's written on it. Once people stop understanding or start understanding that, you realise that you're just holding a printed piece of paper. It doesn't actually do anything. It has no utility. You can't do anything with it apart from light a fire, maybe. And that's probably what's most useful with it, to be fair. So I lost my train of thought. It's not unusual. I'm ill. So it's advantageous for the banks to get rid of cash. It saves them a lot of money. The transactions on crypto are far, far cheaper. They're far, far quicker. The reason that it's not just been snatched, you would think, well, if it's cheaper for the banks to operate, they haven't got to print money. The transactions are so much quicker. It costs them so much less. Surely they would just use it. If it was a good thing, they would just use it straight away. Well, like I say, at the moment, they can't control it. They haven't got full control over it. And that's what the banks are fighting for. They are trying to gain full control. So they want your on and your off ramps completely locked down so that you cannot buy it unless you go through a bank, and you cannot sell it unless you go through a bank. And that's how they're going to regulate it. They can't regulate the bit in the middle because, like I say, an address is an address. Wherever you live, your address can't be changed. That's the name of the street and that's the house number. And that's the same with a crypto wallet. That address is that address. It prints to the blockchain as that address. So at the moment, you can send to that address. Mr. Smith can send to that address, or Barclays Bank can send to that address. And what the banks want to be able to do is lock it so that only Barclays Bank can send to that address. And the reality is they can't do that for the reason I've just said. It is an address, and they can't make it as an individual address. So that address is that address. So what they want to do is scare everybody out of it, keep everybody out of it for as long as possible until they have got all of their on and off ramps locked down so that you can't actually buy it unless you go through the bank. And that's where the control will come in. At the moment, you can. So, is it wise to buy crypto at the moment? You be the judge of that. Um, is the PI coin real or just scam? PI coin, given the fact that I haven't really heard much about it other than from people shilling it sometimes in certain YouTube chats, I would say it's not a coin I'd be interested in. For me, if you're looking at a cryptocurrency, you need to look at the fundamentals. You need to see how fast it completes transaction, how secure those transactions are, what its failure rate has been, how long it has been in operation, um, what the transfer fees are, and what else does it do? What problem does it solve? Um, so take Bitcoin, for example. Everybody bangs on about Bitcoin being the best thing in the world. It's not. I'm sorry, it's just not. It was the first. It's not the best. It's not the best because it's slow, it's inefficient, and it's expensive. So there are other coins that are faster, more efficient, and cost less. So why would you? You know, it's a bit like entering a Formula One Grand Prix with a larder. Yeah, it's still four wheels and a steering wheel. You know, it will still go around the track, but it ain't coming first, does it? And that's the same with the financial institutions. Why would they use a technology that is inefficient and costs a lot of money? They're not gaining anything, and it doesn't do anything. Um, the Bitcoin maxis will tell you it's a store of value. Well, it's only a store of value because they tell you that the money that they've spent on the Bitcoin is what it's worth. So, you know, you should buy that. And it's only those people that say that that's the value of it. It doesn't do anything. It doesn't solve a problem. So the only reason it's a store of value is because lots of people that have got thousands, tens of thousands, millions invested in it tell you. It's a giant Ponzi, ultimately. You know, they're telling you it's got value. Nobody else is. There are certain institutions that are making money off of it. Certain governments, is it El Salvador that recognised it as a legal currency? Um, but effectively, that's the only reason that Bitcoin has the price that it does, because you know certain people shill it to death and tell you that it has a value. um, so no, going back to the PI coin, real or just a scam, I would avoid. There's so many coins out there, most of which are rubbish, junk, pump and dump schemes. They're there to distract you. Just look at the top 10 coins. Anything outside of that, why do you need to bother? You know, if you've got a choice of 50 banks in your country, would you go to the top 10 or the 50th? The 50th is only open 2 days a week. It's only open for 3 hours a day. The days of the week change each week. Um, the door sometimes opens, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes they leave the safe door open. You get what I'm saying? You wouldn't, would you? You know, yes, it might be there, but you just wouldn't bother. You'd use, you know, the better ones, and it's the same with crypto. Just use the better ones. COVID free 30,000. I work remotely, and though not recent, I have been paid in crypto. All banks in RSA crypto, all banks in RSA crypto friendly faster than PayPal to get cash in an account. My brain's not dealing with that sentence, I'm afraid. Um, yeah, I mean PayPal uses crypto behind the scenes. Luno wallet. Luno wallet sounds too much like Luna. Luna being a coin that massively crashed and cost people tens of thousands of millions. It was what was called a stable coin at the time. Stable coin being that it should be pegged one to one with a national currency. It was allegedly pegged one to one with a US dollar. So if you had a Luna coin, allegedly it was $1. The problem is they didn't have the physical assets to back that up. So when it got a bit of a run, when people started to get a bit scared that the asset didn't have the physical backing of a one-to-one value, the price crashed. And when I say crashed, I mean went from $1 to zero in 24 hours. So a lot of people lost a lot of money. Macedonia is a small country north of Greece under Serbia. Yeah, thank you for the geography. terrible with geography. It's the good thing about crypto is your geography is irrelevant. It doesn't matter where you are, as long as you've got accounts, you can send money to anywhere in the world instantly. Which cryptocurrency you can recommend to invest? Which one can be good to be used in Russia? Um, Blimey. So as I said, I don't recommend. Um, Certainly for investing, that's like asking me which stock or share to invest in. There's no different, other than telling you it is a very volatile market. Can you make a lot of money in crypto by investing in it? Yes. My advice is not to look at it as investments, but to look at it as a utility, to actually use it for what it's meant for. Um, you've got to be you've got to be in it a long time to understand and to look at it as an investment, or extremely lucky. Um, so I wouldn't recommend it as an investment at the moment. That said, you will be getting it in the banks. Once the banks have put their clause around it, it will be the latest investment that they'll sell to you, because you're already seeing things called like Bitcoin ETF, which is exchange traded futures, I think it stands for. And it's kind of like stocks and shares, I guess. It is a product that BlackRock, I believe, has launched, where they back the Bitcoin 1-to-1 with dollar, and much like gold, they sell a paper version of it rather than the actual asset itself. So they hold the asset, they sell you a paper version of the asset. Um, it's not exactly that, but that's kind of the thing. Why anybody would buy an ETF when you can go and buy the coin, I don't know. But other than you can buy it cheaper, and you can make some money off of it. So yeah, I guess you would, but not for me. I would never be looking at buying ETFs. I don't see the point. It'll be, some people will buy gold on the internet, and never physically hold the gold. They will trade gold, and that's the same with an ETF. That's what you do with it. For me, I would always want the physical gold. So I'm a bit old school. I like to have my hands on stuff, which is a bit strange when I'm talking about crypto, but I hope you understand. Um, so just to answer the second part of you, which cryptocurrency would be good to be used in Russia? Anyone that a crypto exchange or payment provider accepts. So you've kind of got to reverse engineer it. You need to look at what crypto exchanges operate in Russia, and you need to look at what payment providers operate in Russia, and then you need to look at the lists of crypto coins that they support, because not every exchange supports every coin, not every payment provider supports every coin. So you then need to look at what coins they will support, and kind of reverse engineer it. If you decide that you're going to use, for example, let's use XRP again. Let's stick with an XRP. If you decide that you're going to use XRP as your method of payment or transaction to Russia, and then you go to a particular payment provider that you've set an account up with, and you click on the wallets that are available, and it doesn't have XRP, it's not supported because XRP is still technically under a lawsuit. So a lot of financial institutions are holding the brakes on XRP until they've got full legal clarity. At the moment, it's nearly there. It's just won the second part of its case, and we're in the appeal stage with XRP. I think it's till the 6th of October. The Securities and Exchange Commission have the right to appeal the decision. Do I think they will? No. But what they will do is drag it out to the 6th of October. They won't let anybody know before that, because it would be the whole point of the lawsuit on XRP has been to delay it. Hasn't been for any other reason. It has been to delay it. It's also been to audit it, to ensure that absolutely everything about that operation is crystal clear and squeaky clean. Again, that's why I think it's going to be hugely used throughout the world. So I digress a little bit, as usual. Um, hey, Nelly. Greetings from the Mansk region. Good morning from Sweden. Swanee, hi. Gary Rogue, morning from foggy Albion, as in Brighton? Albion. Oh, see, Albion, I think Brighton, as in Brighton and Hove Albion. I'm probably a long way away from that. Basically, cash money as paper has no value. If we discuss them, yeah, exactly. Yeah, it has no value. It doesn't do anything. It's the only reason it has value is because banks have told you that you can buy goods with it. But your pound or your dollar has devalued something like 99% in the last 100 years, is it? Something like that. Um, it's just paper. It doesn't do anything. It holds no intrinsic value other than what banks and financial institutions agree that it is. But yeah, for me, if you want to be super safe um, and don't want to take any chances with anything, just hold gold. It's God's money. It's always been there. It always will. Um, Gary, I had info that XRP will be big. Yeah, I suggest anybody researches XRP. If you want to look at crypto, don't go running straight to Bitcoin. Research XRP. Research the company that operates it. Research the coin itself. Look at how long it's been operating. Look at its failure rate. Look at its transaction costs, and look who it's most importantly. Look who the company that operates XRP, which is Ripple Labs. Look who they're partnered with. Look who they sit down with. The World Economic Forum, Bank of America, Eurobank. Oh, honestly, I am not even touching the tip of the iceberg for who Ripple is partnered with. So, yeah, if you've had info that XRP will be big, I would suggest that that's good info because it already is. Albion is the ancient name for England, mate. Ah, yeah. I probably might have known that somewhere in the back of my mind, but my vintage years have done away with it. So I think it probably got stored there at some point, and then as I'm getting older, my brain's losing the capacity. So it's got that bit of information and gone, yeah, I don't need that. Thrown it away. Thank you for that. Which website do I use to book a hotel in Sochi? All sites have blocked Russia. I wouldn't have a clue. I would suggest you Google hotels in Sochi and just contact them directly because every hotel has got a website, I'm guessing, rather than going through one of these booking.com and the like, because like you say, they're all blocked. Just contact the hotel directly. I'd suggest that's the best way to go. I used to go to Spain with the kids when they were very, very young. And initially it would be go to the travel agent and let them sort it all out. But once I'd been a couple of times to the same area, I got to know the hotels there. And I just booked it directly myself. And I saved a load of money just because I didn't go through an agent. And it was a lot easier and a lot cheaper. So, yeah, that's what I would suggest. If you're looking for a hotel, just try and book it directly. Google is an amazing thing. So, there we go. Hopefully, that's given you a bit of an outline of crypto. As I keep saying, please get involved. Please have a look at it. Please do not believe the mainstream narrative that it is a scam and you're going to lose your money. You're not going to lose your money any differently to you losing your wallet. If you're careless with your money currently, you'll lose it. And it's no different. If you're careless with crypto, you'll lose it. You know? If you get an email at the moment with a link in it saying, please click this link, you've won £1 million, would you click the link? Don't know. I wouldn't. Some people would. Those people are the ones that will lose their money in crypto. If you're the sort of person that wouldn't click that link, then you'll be fine in crypto. It's just common sense. Don't do anything daft. Do a bit of research before you click a button, and you'll be fine. It's just you've got to get involved in it, because if you don't get involved in it now, the only choice you will have will be getting involved in it through the banking system directly under their rules and their conditions, which will be fine. It'll be very easy. They'll certainly make it easy for everybody. That's the whole point, and that's what they'll do, and that's how they'll sell it to you. Crypto investments. They won't be called crypto. They'll be called digital asset investments. We've got this new investment strategy, like these new ETFs. Come and invest. You'll earn a load of money. It's dead easy. We'll handle it all for you. And that's how people will initially get into it. The banks will, like I say, they will offer it as a means of sending your money abroad. We can now send your money instantly and at a fraction of the cost that it was before. They still overcharge you because they want to make money. So the actual transactional fee of moving the coin is pennies, but the banks will be charging you pounds. You know that. That's why I suggest people get involved now. But yeah, please get involved in it. You need to. You need to understand what's going on. You need to see where it's going. Bull run ends in 6 months. Now is a good time to buy. Bull run ends in 6 months. Now is a good time to buy crypto. I think if that statement was true, that would probably be really bad advice, because if we were in the middle of the bull run now, the prices would be high. And if you're saying that the bull run will be ending, i.e. the market's going to crash in 6 months, then why would you buy it now? Surely you'd be better off waiting 6 months to buy it. Bull runs and bear markets. Some of you may have heard of this term. It is basically talking about the market moving up and the market moving down. Crypto is no different to stocks and shares. The S&P 500 and everything else. All these exchanges in Singapore, in London. The market goes up and down. You have the financial crashes, which plummet the market. You lose all your money. Your pensions get reduced in cost, and blah blah blah. And then you have times when they climb, and the price of gold goes up, and everything else goes up. Your Tesla shares go up. Crypto's no different. It has bull runs, which is the market being positive and climbing, and it has bear markets where the market is in decline or very stagnant. The reality is that you will see on YouTube, especially, lots and lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of people talking about crypto, talking about individual coins, banging on about Bitcoin or Ethereum or XRP, or giving you what we call TA, technical analysis, and they will get these lovely charts out, and they will show you this line drawn from here and this line drawn from here means that this is going to happen. So a couple of things to understand with that. First and foremost, if anybody could predict the future accurately, they would rule the world. So nobody can. Certainly not in the financial market. It's a guess. With gold, there has been hundreds of years of data, I would say. Data, maybe US, don't know. But there's been hundreds of years of records of what gold has done, given the world economy and what's happening around the world, and all of that has a big influence in the money markets. If there's currently the current situation in Russia stroke Ukraine has a massive effect on global economy. That's why geopolitics, global finance go hand in hand with crypto, because they are directly affected, and the same with the stock market. The difference with crypto is it is a fledgling asset class. It is not been running. It's been running seconds in the grand scheme of things. I think was it Bitcoin 2009? I think something along them came after the financial crisis. Funnily enough, interesting. So it's a really, really young asset class. So first and foremost, there isn't the depth of data to actually draw a conclusion from. And second, and this is the thing that you must always remember with crypto, it is massively manipulated. There are people that hold an awful lot of crypto coins, of one particular coin, and they can do what we call pump and dump the market. They can dump the coins to market, causing the price to crash, and they can buy up a load of coins, causing the price to rise. So they are artificially moving the market and making money of it going down and money off of it going up. It is massively manipulated. Please do not think that it's generic and it's just operating and it's organic. It's completely not. The proof of that is just by looking at all of the coins. They all move up and down together. It's a massively manipulated market. So, hence the reason I say if you're going to look at it for an investment, you really, really need to do your homework. When they are ready to launch it, it will be too late for you to make a profit from it. um, I I wouldn't agree with that necessarily, Gary, because I think if that was the case, it would be the same with stocks and shares. You're always going to be able to make a profit from it, and you're always going to be able to make a loss. Um, Otherwise, if it's not volatile, nobody will make any money, and it's it's a waste of time. All investors need volatility to make money, so you need it to go up and down, and the gamble is, you know, um, you're betting whether it's going up or down. You're hoping to buy it low and sell it high. Unfortunately, most people do it the other way around: buy high, sell low. Crypto's full of that. So you do need to do a bit of homework with it, and certainly understand what you're getting involved in. Right. Okay. Well, like I say, hopefully it's given you some info. Please re-watch this live stream because I have jumped around an awful lot. And once you start looking at crypto, you will understand why. It is a massive subject, and it's a bit like driving down a motorway that's 200 miles long. And off of the motorway, there are loads and loads of off ramps doing lots of different things, going to lots of different towns. Well, the subject of crypto is the same thing. If you just want to get from A to B, you can just talk about one tiny little part of it. But if you want to understand it, you're going to visit all the towns on the way. So, it really depends on the level of interest that you have in the towns on the way. Some of it will be very technical, some of it will be very basic and easy to understand. Um, but like I say, please don't watch these YouTube guys that are giving you technical analysis. I have watched hundreds of them over the years. They're all regurgitating the same thing. They're all telling you the same story, just in a different format. And the chart guys are a waste of time. They really are, because the asset hasn't been in operation long enough to actually have any meaning. And also, as I said, it's highly manipulated, and they aren't the manipulators. So how can they possibly tell you what it's going to do? If if they're not controlling the price, if they have no influence on the price, whether it goes up or down, how can they tell you what the price is going to do? It's just logical stuff. There's nothing clever about it. You just got to think logically. Uh, Alexander, greetings from Sochi. See, I can read a small amount of Russian. Um, Greetings from Sochi. Hi. What's the weather like down there? Is it standard Sochi? Hot, humid? Because it's a bit rubbish here at the moment. I shall show you. Look. Yeah. There's a bit of blue over there, look, on the horizon. But it's yeah, it's just a bit there. A bit yeah. Gary, thank you for your insight. More of these live streams are needed from you. That's what I want to do. I want to do more live streams because I want people to have the opportunity to ask a real-time question of somebody that's really sitting in Russia. I'm not in Moscow. I'm in the southern part of Russia. Um, I'm just outside a town called Anapa on the coast of the Black Sea, about 60 miles away from the Kerch Bridge or Crimea, and about 300 kilometers away from Sochi. Um, so, yeah, that gives you a little geography lesson. Just across the water from Turkey. So, yeah, the purpose of the live streams really is to hopefully give you a little bit of information about a topic, but give people the opportunity to ask questions, anything at all. I don't care what you ask me. If you have any kind of question relating to Russia, you're curious about, are the shelves empty? Are there bank runs going on? Are the people rising up to overthrow the government? Um, is the place on fire? Any kind of question you want to know. That's why I want to try and do as many live streams as I can to give people that opportunity to ask a real world question in real time. Um, because I don't think there's enough opportunity for that. I think there is way too much force-fed narrative. There is too much news, and the news isn't the news. It's a carefully compiled narrative that is projected down the TV or through the internet to you. You can't ask questions. You can't interact with it. You just are fed it. Here is the news. This is the title. This is what's happening relating to that title. There it is. That's the only choice you've got. And I think that's terrible. I personally do. I think mainstream media is absolutely awful. I think platforms that allow people freedom of speech and allow people to find out information are absolutely vital in this world. And, look at the current situation with Telegram, where its creator has been arrested in France. It's just desperately, certain governments are desperately trying to clamp down on freedom of speech. And I know that's the buzzword at the moment, freedom of speech, but it's absolutely vital, because without it, without the opportunity for you to go and look and ask a question and get a truthful answer rather than get a prepared answer, if you don't have that opportunity, you are then completely controlled. So it's vital that these platforms allow it and that you can still do this. And, I've got to say, whatever you think of YouTube, it gives people like me still the opportunity to do what I'm doing now and answer a question. And long may that continue, because when that goes, if that ever goes, then we're all doomed, to be honest. Then you are just going to be fully controlled, and you might as well just take your brain out. Shouldn't you feel right at home with all the clouds? Oh, Alex, I've got acclimatized to being here. Yeah, I mean, if in case anybody's wondering about Alex's comment, this is kind of typical. I'd say typical English summer. um, yeah, it's actually raining now. Good grief. Um, I've got acclimatized to it here. I really have. When I went back to the UK in May, I was cold. I was wearing a coat and a hoodie. And most people are walking around in shorts with the top off. So I've got used to it. But then equally, when I first came here, I was walking around in October in shorts, and everybody else is wrapped up in coats, looking at me like I'm a nutcase. But 23 degrees in October, I thought it was hot. So you get acclimatized to it, and I have. Like I say, it's 27 degrees today, and I'm put a shirt on, and I'm a bit chilly. So yeah. But Gary, sorry, more of these live streams. As I said, I want to do live streams. I want to answer questions. Did you mean specifically about crypto, or do you just mean in general? Hopefully, it's just in general. Is Uphold more friendly, better than Binance? So in the UK, you can't use Binance. It has been outlawed. It's been banned. Scam. Just didn't comply with what they wanted. Much like Pavel Durov of Telegram, that hasn't complied with what they wanted. So in prison he goes. Same thing with Binance and CZ. He wasn't complying, wasn't bending the knee exactly to how they wanted. He didn't meet the regulations. He wasn't a regulated entity. So because he wasn't a regulated entity, it was blocked in the UK. So you can't use Binance from the UK. It's still operational in a lot of countries around the world, but UK ain't one of them. Uphold, the reason I use Uphold as an example is that it is FCA regulated. So it is under the same regulations that the banks and the financial institutions are in the UK. Now, that has positives and negatives. Its negative is the fact that it isn't as free for you to do what you want. There are restrictions on how much you can send. They ask a lot of questions. They keep all the records, etc., because that's the FCA regulations. That's what they need to do. The positive is that it is FCA regulated, so you can use it. It's a recognised. It's a British company, so it's recognised in the UK and it's regulated in the UK. So even though you will have resistance from certain banks about using Uphold, they can't. Technically they can't. This is the beauty of banks. The banks, did you know, the banks can shut your account for any reason they deem fit. So do not think that your account is yours. It isn't. They allow you to use their system, and they can take that away at any time without reason. They do not have to give you a reason. So you will get a letter one day, maybe, saying, after reviewing your account, we have decided to no longer offer you a service, effectively. Um, and your account will be closed in 90 days. You have the right to go to the financial ombudsman, but the financial ombudsman is exactly the same as a HR department for a company. The financial ombudsman works for the banks. It is not there for you. It is there for the banks and to protect them. So you will go to them and complain, and they will go, "Oh, we'll look into this for you. This doesn't seem fair," and they'll give you a load of old spiel. And they will go away and they'll come back and say, "I'm sorry, but their decision is final. They've reviewed your account and they didn't like the activity on it or something or other." And that unfortunately is that. So you'll get absolutely nowhere. And as I say, under their terms and conditions, they do not have to give you a reason as to why they close your account. So that should be really scary for most people. Um, they can just turn your account off for no reason, just because they don't like you using crypto. They don't like you using a certain type of crypto, an unregulated one. So that's again why I say use Uphold, because they can't really use that as a reason because it's an FCA regulated company. Um, but they can decide that you're a higher risk than they want, and they can just turn your account off for whatever reason, and they don't have to tell you what that reason is. So yeah, bear that in mind. But yeah, Uphold is not only FCA regulated, but it's a very, very simple platform. So it's very, very easy to use. So I just tell people to use that, not because I think it's the best platform or anything else, but just because it's very simple and straightforward. And if you're new to crypto, the last thing you want is to be bombarded with charts and all these different offerings of being able to invest. And you just want something really simple, because you're going to come across it and sort of go, ugh. What I would recommend is people download the app for a particular exchange. Again, I don't like recommending, but I'm going to use Uphold as the example. If you're in the UK, just download the app for Uphold, and just look at it. It is the simplest thing. In fact, it's so simple you second guess it and think, well, it can't be as simple as this. Yeah, it is, and that's one of the good things about it. The other good thing about Uphold is the customer service. You can pick up the phone and speak to a human being. And it's an English company, so you can speak to a human being in England, and the customer support is really good. So I'm not here to promote Uphold. I certainly got no affiliation to them, but if I'm sending somebody new to crypto in the UK, that's where I would send them, purely for ease. It's not daunting. It's very simple, and you haven't got to do anything necessarily. You can download the app and just sort of look at it, and then you can start to go through the process of opening an account. And again, as I say, it's FCA regulated, so the KYC process, although it's very strict, it is safe and secure. I agree. Hope you have a great day. Say hello to your family. Wish you all the best. Yes, I do know Russian history and geography. Thank you, Gary. Very not nice words. Thank you. We will watch it. It must too much info at once. Yeah, I understand that, Marjan. Yeah, that's why like I say, I've tried to do a crypto video. I've tried to do crypto videos. Part 1, part 2, part 12. I've done it 20 times and just deleted them every time. It's an impossible subject to cover off in a video. Hence, that I just thought, you know what, I'm just going to do a live stream about it, and people can have the opportunity to ask a question about it or rewatch it. And then if there's questions on what's been said here today, you can ask me a question on Telegram, send me a question, or email. My email is theplasticrussian@gmail.com. So feel free to ask me a question. There's no such thing as a stupid question. So please don't be embarrassed. Don't feel awkward. 99% of people have no understanding at all about crypto. So, you're not going to ask a question that I haven't heard 100 times. But as I say, I am by no means an expert, but I, I know more than the average person, but only for time in what they call time in the space. Yes, mate. In general, it's good to keep our eyes open amongst the state censorship that is current problem. Yeah, absolutely. How can you have too much information? It's a bit of a saying, isn't it? Sometimes, oh, too much information for me. No, that just means you're lazy. If it's too much information, you're lazy. Um, you can't have too much information. You can be overwhelmed with the quantity of information, but like anything, if you want to understand it, you start at the beginning, and just start looking at something very basic. You first dive into any aspect of crypto and then expand from there. Just, what is a digital wallet? Just start Googling, start researching. A digital wallet is X, this does Y. Okay, what is a cold storage wallet? Da, da, da. And you'll start to learn and understand. And that's the process. And hopefully, if there's something I can answer, you send me a question, I'll try and answer it. If I can't, I won't lie to you. It's not what I'm here for. And I certainly won't be shilling any particular coin or ramming it down your throat or telling you to buy this or do that. Like I say, the only thing that I've said is regarding Uphold for people in the UK, and I've explained the reasons why. Not because I've got any affiliation or because I'm a financial advisor, which I'm not. So anything I've said here is absolutely not financial advice. It is just, hopefully, eye-opening advice. I would love to come in contact with someone in the Sochi region who could help with some information about jobs and homes, not central, but on the outskirts. Swanee, stay tuned. As always, there's usually somebody in the chat. I think somebody said hi from Sochi earlier. Greetings from Sochi. Yeah, so you've got Alexander, who was in the chat. Don't know if he still is. He's in Sochi. Maybe he can help you. Failing that, yeah, stay tuned. Working on something at the moment. I have a crypto section on Revolut. Yep, perhaps I should throw £50 in and see what happens. Tony, there you go. Get your feet wet, dip your toe in. I think a lot of exchanges and wallets, etc., have like a minimum amount that you can deposit. It might be £10 or £20, something along those lines. Yeah, Revolut is another payment provider. I don't know if it works in Russia or not. Really don't. But yeah, dip your toe in. If anybody wants help on a specific, like actually, the process of it, it's really going to be difficult because all the platforms have got different ways of operating. So unless I'm familiar with that platform, I won't really be able to help you. Some are more difficult than others. The simple thing is just to look. And as soon as your brain starts going, oh, I'm not really understanding it, turn it off, come back to it the next day, and then start again. And that's the way you'll get through it, bit at a time. Don't try and absorb it all in one go. It will fry your brain. Even if you're a clever bonce, it will still fry your brain. So just do a bit at a time. Take small steps of it, ask questions, go away. When you see a terminology that you don't understand, type it into Google and see what you get. Or ask an idiot like me. I might be able to help. Can foreigners only buy condos in Russia? No. Suppose is the easiest way to answer that. No, foreigners can buy land in Russia. There are restrictions in certain regions. I think Sam from Sam's Russian Adventures has covered it in much more depth. But yeah, no, it's not a case that you can only buy an apartment or something. No, absolutely not. But I don't know the full ins and outs, the same as the recent decree by the president about the language test for getting a temporary residence permit in Russia. I was the first to break that news on YouTube, but I don't know all of the details, and I'm not going to make a YouTube video telling you a load of rubbish or telling you stuff like a lot of other people have that isn't true or is inaccurate or is half complete. I'd rather just say, look, this is the decree that has happened. This is the basic outline of it. You're going to have to go and research. And that's not me being lazy. That's just me ensuring I'm not going to give anybody false information. Because I'd hate to do a live or a video or anything that's not factual and give somebody the wrong idea. Too many people do that. They're desperate to get YouTube clicks. Too many people are out there banging out a video about a subject they know nothing about or know very little about, just because they're trying to earn your clicks, earn revenue. I'm not. So I won't give you a load of information that I don't know about. So yeah, what you'll get from me is what I know, not what I think I know. Hope that makes sense. Foreigners can buy all sorts of property in Russia, but there are restrictions. You have to research specifics. Bang on, Alex. Exactly that. Whatever you have in mind, ask. Absolutely. About that decree, no one really knows details as of now. Mostly conjecture. We have to wait for clarifications from the ministry as well as a list of countries. Yeah, absolutely. Alex, nail on the head. The basics of the decree are you can get temporary residency, which is a 3-year visa, without having to pass the language test, which also encompasses a bit of Russian history and a bit of law. It's a stringent test, very, very stringent. But there are anomalies to that. It's not going to be applicable to everybody. So, yeah, you will have to research it. The best place to research it is the source, which is the Kremlin. Go to the Kremlin website and you can read the decree. There is an English version on it. So go to the Kremlin website and have a look, rather than go to YouTube. Don't get your info from YouTube. We're all a bunch of idiots. I wanted to use the new decree visa to buy a property in Sochi. Not sure if that's possible or not. I'm going to say, as a foreigner, the answer is no. And I'll tell you why. This I do know. Foreigners, non-Russian citizens, cannot buy property on potential border regions or coastal regions. For example, the region I live in is Krasnodarsky Krai. That region has multiple districts inside it. 12 of those districts, you cannot, as a foreigner, buy property. So it's just a Russian law. They don't want foreigners coming here buying a load of beachfront property and ramping up the price and making a load of money out of Russians. It's a pretty good rule. I've got to say I agree with it. You must remember, anything to do with Russia is Russia first. So as a foreigner, you are second. And I don't mean that in a bad way. It's just that you might not like certain regulations, like that one, for example. Foreigners can't buy land. Oh, I want to buy a beachfront property. Tough. But that's made for the benefit of Russia and Russian citizens. It's not made for your benefit. So you have to understand that. In the West, we don't like that because, well, we should be able to have it. I want it. I want. No, not wide like that. So you have to change your programming if you're coming to Russia, because it's just not the same way. It will eliminate the need to do a 24-hour exit every visa refresh if you are intent on staying. Pass. Not entirely sure what you mean by a 24-hour exit every visa refresh if you are intent on staying. Yeah, sorry, Furby, not entirely sure what you're being probably quite specific there, and you probably know far more than me. MF, you use visa to enter Russia. Buying property isn't directly connected to that, correct? I'm not sure you can buy property in much of Sochi region though. No, I think it's 100 kilometers from the coast. So um, the Krasnodarsky Krai region is sort of this shape, triangular, pointy, with Sochi down at the bottom pointy bit. You can go further south than Sochi, but not that much further. I can't remember how far it is. 30 kilometers, I think, past Sochi. The region starts, something like that, and then goes all the way up to Crimea, and then inland. So it's a big triangle. So I don't know what parts of Krasnodarsky Krai you could buy property in. I think Krasnodar probably, which is the capital of the region, and it's a beautiful city, really lovely. The park there, I think the park's there. Is it the largest one in Europe or the most expensive one in Europe, or I don't know. But it's a beautiful park. Go and have a look at my Galitsky Park videos. I've done 4 or 5 from there. It's a gorgeous place, absolutely gorgeous, and lovely city, real hustly bustly kind of place. Lots of restaurants, lots of shops, lots of parks, lots of monuments, lots of everything. Really lovely place. But I'm a Cancerian, so I need to have my toe in the water. So it's a little bit too far inland for me. I'm not a city boy, but yeah, and I think that is far enough inland that you could buy in that region, but it's probably not the cheapest. Probably a bit cheaper than Sochi, I guess. I don't know. Um, Something Daniel had to do a couple of times. When the visa period ends, you can refresh it, but you have to leave Russia for 24 hours. Okay. Well, that's something I didn't know. So there you go. Every day's a school day. I didn't know you could just refresh it um, for 24 hours. So in other words, fly out and fly straight back in again. I didn't know you could do that. Um, I thought you had to fully resubmit. Um, Furby, I think exits are mostly specific to US special visa. Other countries don't get those. Ah, okay. Yeah, there you go. You guys are answering your own questions, which is great. Um, was the issue that became big for Countryside Acres? Yeah, see, the visa entry from the US to Russia is different to the UK. I think from the US you can get a 3-year visa already. I think. Yeah, he's a big Countryside, and it's why Sam is thinking their situation may have been the cause for the change. Yeah, I think. I don't know if their situation was the cause for the change. I'm certainly not going to disagree with Sam. He's far more knowledgeable about all things Russian than I ever will be. The guy's been living here 20 years. Simple. So, people go on and flame Sam. Oh, you're always saying this and you're always saying that. But he never says what he doesn't know. Um, and you have to understand that he knows a lot because he's been here 20 years. It's just history. It's just a memory of. And that's all intelligence is. It's just being able to remember something that you've learned. Well, he's been here 20 years. He knows more than any of us. So, people can bang on and go, oh, you don't know what you're talking about, this, that, and the other. You're an idiot if you say that because the guy's been here 20 years. So he's lived it. He's come here and learnt the language off of his own back, and the visa process and everything else. Does he know everything? Of course he doesn't. No man does. But he knows more than 90% of the YouTubers. Probably 99% of the YouTubers, myself included, and I certainly bow down to his knowledge. And I've got to know Sam pretty well, um, and I understand sometimes his delivery might look a bit prickly, but if you know the guy, you will absolutely 100% know that he's genuine and he's got the heart of a saint. He really is. He never does anything off the bat to be malicious. He's his first action with anybody is to help them. And sometimes people will throw that in his face and make something out of nothing. Um, but that doesn't change who Sam is. That doesn't tell you who Sam is. That tells you who they are. Um, and he's just a lovely man. You know, Underneath all of the YouTube persona and everything, when you get to know the guy, He's just a lovely guy, and he'll do anything to help anybody. And that's that's why I like him, and that's why I would support him. Um, like I say, I've got to know who he is as a person, and that's not a YouTube persona. And you know, you may not agree with some of the things he says. It's your choice, but his intentions are always genuine and honest. They are not malicious. Um, that said, if somebody comes after him, is he going to react? Of course. Who wouldn't? Somebody wants to come after me on the internet, I'll probably react the same way, maybe more so. I don't need the clicks. I don't need revenue. So I'm a little bit freer than anybody else because I can just go delete, ban, block, because I don't need this for revenue. It's not going to financially affect me. So that doesn't mean that I'm not grateful for the people that subscribe to my channel and people that watch, me do live streams or videos. I absolutely am, because every one of you potentially shares it to someone else, and that hopefully puts out to the world, or certainly the Western world, a different version of Russia, a version that they aren't getting, and a version that you really should get. Because if everybody actually saw Russia for what it is, they probably wouldn't have the opinion that they do. And if they still hold a very, very negative opinion, then you know what? You can't always change everybody's mind. Some people are just completely blinkered. There are ideologies in the world, and there have been for years and years and years, that are just anything outside of this is unacceptable. And we all know the nasty ideologies. So you're never going to change that mindset. If that person is absolutely ingrained and has that mentality, doesn't matter what you say, they're always going to reject it. You can only deal with people that are capable of critical thought. And anybody that is capable of critical thought, if you give them all the information, they will not have the opinion about Russia that they may currently have. Because I'm capable of critical thought, and I came to Russia before the SMO, and I've had my world completely turned upside down, because it has been nothing like I was told, as I've said many, many times. So, US citizens get 3-year visa, but can have only 6 months or so of uninterrupted stay. Okay. So although the visa is 3 years, it's a multiple entry visa, in other words, Alex, is that what you're saying? So they can't just rock up here in 2024 and leave in 2027. They've got to be exiting the country every 6 months. Is that the point you're making there? Hello, everyone. Not keen on your username. Countryside is Canadian, correct? Oh yeah, I see what you're saying. I'm sort of convoluting the two with Canadian with US 3-year visas. Yeah, they've got a different. I think their visa process in Canada is completely different again. Yeah, Countryside Acres issues were different. I don't, I reached out to Countryside Acres a couple of times when I first started my channel, because I just wanted to talk to anybody. And they, I've been here a lot longer than they have, but they came and they were talking about the visa process and learning the language and everything. So I reached out to them, sent them some emails, and commented on some of it. I never got a response. I got a response from Aaron a couple of times on one of his videos that I've posted, and it was just a one-word answer, just sort of batting me off really. But I'm a lowly little YouTuber. I probably had 300 or 400 subscribers at that point, and he just, for whatever reason, um, yeah, didn't engage with me. I'm not going to put words into somebody's mouth. I don't know what their reasons were. Could have been a whole host of reasons, but effectively, I reached out to them. It never progressed any further. But I was just curious, what do you know? How do you know it? Could we help each other? I think that was the email I sent. Maybe we can help each other, because he was certainly at the time saying that they were really struggling in Russia, and they were struggling with money and lots of things. And there were certain aspects that I knew that I could probably help with, and there were probably aspects that he could have helped me with. So, I reached out in a way to sort of, hey, look, we can probably help each other. But I didn't get a positive response from that. So, um, Alex, I believe Sam is genuine, but he does jump to conclusions and say things that are not entirely factually correct. uh, yeah, there you go. I bow down to your knowledge, Alex. I live here for 40 years. I didn't know that. And no more than Sam. Yeah, I bet you do if you've been here 40 years. Yeah. Um, does Sam jump to conclusions? Yeah, you know, I think we probably all are guilty of that at some time, aren't we? I don't know. I think if you think about text communication, the typed word, especially if you're English, um, it's very easy to misconstrue something. That's why I don't like text as a communication. And if somebody contacts me, I'd much rather have a voice conversation with them or a video conversation rather than bashing out a big email. I've had so many emails from people that are like War and Peace, and with 15 questions in it, and it's like, what am I supposed to do with that? That might be the world you live in. You might just sit there and rattle off 100 words a minute. I type with one thumb, and it's about 1 word a minute. Um, so getting a 15 question long email looks wonderful and fantastic, but the response you're going to get from me is me sending you a voicemail saying, look, I can answer some of these questions, but I don't really know. So I'd much rather have a voice communication. And I think that might be some of the things that Sam may have potentially jumped to a conclusion is maybe the written word. I don't know. I don't know if you give me a specific, then maybe I could comment more on it. But I've found Sam to be of good heart, have good intentions, and I I equally find him to be um, somebody that will take something to heart. If somebody comes after him, he does take it personally. Um, and some of us, I mean, conversation I had with Sam, he said, I really love talking to you. He says, you really are inspiring to me at times. And I'm like, me? And he goes, yeah. He said, because you don't give a F. And I said, yeah, but I think that's the position that I'm in with YouTube. I don't need this for money. Whereas Sam, that's his living. That's how he gets paid. He has to make content. That's how he earns his money. And that's one of the things I love about the guy. He doesn't make any bones about that, and he doesn't hide that from anybody. Whereas a lot of people just sort of, change the subject, brush it under the carpet. I've seen all sorts. Sam doesn't. He makes no bones about it. So if that's what pays your salary, you are always going to have a conflict. It's always going to be difficult. And you are going to take things to heart sometimes, and you are going to take things personally, and sometimes you may jump to conclusions because he can't have the attitude that I have, where I can just go, yeah, I don't care, delete, block, ban, erase. Is that a form of censorship? Yeah, my world. So, much the same as if you go down the pub and somebody's talking a lot of bollocks, you, as it's your world, have the right to do whatever you want regarding that. You can confront them, or you can just think you're an idiot and walk away. And I think the internet should be exactly the same. I think you should be able to do exactly that. However, if you go down the pub and somebody's talking a lot of bollocks, and it happens to be your boss, you kind of haven't got the same freedom of you. And that's the trouble with YouTube being revenue related and the people that are on it using it as their main source of income. That's the situation they're in. So they have to act differently and will react differently because it is their source of income. So I can just go bye bye. We can only guess until it is in writing. Yeah, absolutely, Furby. Yeah, I think you're going on about the decree. I guess don't mean going on, but you're talking about the decree. Um, yeah, until it's in black and white, which countries it relates to. But given the tone of the decree and the news that has come out around it, I would suggest that it is going to be aimed at Western countries. It isn't a free for all. A lot of Russians think, oh my God, we're going to get flooded with undesirables. Um, I don't think that's going to be the case. The biggest difference, yes, this particular part of the decree has relaxed the process, but it hasn't stopped the process or erased the process. The process is still there. It's just one part of it that's relaxed, but there is still a stringent process that you have to go through, and it is scrutinised. So, I don't think it's going to bring a load of undesirables. Far from it. I think it's going to allow people that are useful to Russia to be able to come to Russia. Not everybody is going to be an IT wizard or a businessman or an entrepreneur. Some people on face value might not bring anything to the economy, like me, for example. I don't come here, I'm not working. So, some people might say, well, you don't even work in Russia, so what are you bringing? Well, I brought a chunk of money, um, and I put a significant amount into the local economy over the last 3 years, building a house and swimming pool and sauna, um, even down to the flower sellers where we're buying plants and flowers. So everything we do is local. We spend all of our money locally. Um, we shop locally. We shop in our village. We buy our plants in our village. Um, even the swimming pool was built by somebody from our village. So everything we do is local. It's local spend, and it's keeping it in the local economy. So yes, I agree. I don't work, but every single day we go and spend money. So if you're coming with that attitude, um, I think Russia is still going to be very welcome for you. But if you're going to come here with no qualifications, with no money, um, being a single 20 something, and I guess I disappeared for everybody. So all of a sudden I got turned off. Am I talking about things that I shouldn't be talking about? I think so. Other than visa process and coming to Russia. Hmm. Oh, chat's come back. Um, right, let's see if I can catch up. Alex, I tried to contact them too. Yeah, you're 40 and you've been in the country 40 years. Uh-huh. When I need to deliver specific points, I prefer text. Ooh. Otherwise, voice conversation. Absolutely despise voicemail. um, yeah, I'm the opposite, mate. You know, I come from a corporate world where text, we actually, is one of the things that I didn't accept as an acceptable form of communication. For example, if a member of staff was ill, uh, you make a phone call. Don't send me a text saying, "Hi, boss, I don't feel well. I won't be in today," on a Monday morning after a heavy Saturday night, or on a Friday morning when they want a long weekend. Um, we all know how it goes. So text was never an acceptable form of communication. And no matter how ill you are, unless you've lost your voice box, you can always speak on the phone. So for us, in the corporate world, in the world that I worked in, you couldn't send a text to say you're ill. You'd have to ring in. Um, and it's amazing how many people suddenly weren't ill just for that, because it's a cop out, isn't it? If you're laying in bed, and a lot of the time, if you've got a cold or something, you feel crap first thing in the morning, last thing at night. But in the middle of the day, you don't feel too bad. So it's very easy to wake up feeling rubbish and send a text to your boss. Too easy. Whereas if you've got to ring in, a lot of people don't actually like lying or saying, I can't be in or whatever. More often than not, they would say, I feel absolutely rubbish. I've missed my alarm. Um, but I will be in. I'm just going to be a little bit late. I very rarely had staff off sick. Very rarely. Um, Not because we wouldn't allow it. It's just because they weren't actually sick. In the UK, certainly when I started working, um, being off sick was like additional holiday. I think one company I worked for, they allowed 12 annual days of sick before they questioned it. That was in the company handbook. Well, what do you think that did? Every single employee had 12 days of sick, because if it was never questioned, if HR never got involved, and all you had to do was get your mum to ring up or somebody to ring up and say, "Oh, he's not feeling too well," and nothing was questioned. They just went, "Oh, okay." If you were allowed to do that 12 times a year, you can bet a pound to a pinch of salt that everybody took their 22 days holiday and then bolted on another 12 days to that. So Um, I like Sam a lot, but I remember a few times I found his information lacking. So I'm cautious with things I hear in his videos. I'm cautious of things I hear in anybody's videos. Um, I have a very simple motto: trust no one. Um, because if you have that in the back of your mind, human beings are infallible. They're not infallible. Sorry, they make mistakes, and not always maliciously. Sometimes they can have the absolute best intentions and get the wrong idea, misunderstand something, make a judgment on something, jump the gun. There's a million and one reasons why people get things wrong. So it isn't necessarily about trust, but it is about questioning. So I say I don't trust anybody, but that's not strictly true. What I mean by that is that I don't take everything I hear as absolutely certain and gospel, regardless of who it is. Um, you've always got to sort of have that in your mind. Does that sound right? Is that correct? You know, are they operating from a point of knowledge or something that they've heard from somewhere else, or yada yada. So I get what you're saying, but I think you can apply that to anybody. Um, the decree is a complete change of policy. It's just like, yeah, pretty much exactly what I said in my first video when I heard about it. You know, this is historic, but we'll have to see how exactly it will work. Of course, absolutely. Um, your contribution, your tax on your property to a NAPA's budget. Yeah, it's just one of many. Um, like I say, we spend rubles every day, so we're contributing to this economy. Um, what did you do for a living? If it is not too personal of a question, I worked in the accident repair sector, vehicle accident repair sector. Um, Potted history. Here we go. I'll give you allegedly a quick. I don't do anything quick. Um, I When I was at school, in my era, you had to, I think they call it now picking options and all of this kind of stuff, but you had to decide, pretty much told at the age of 14, um, what job are you going to do? And for the boys, it was be a mechanic, and for the girls, it was be a nurse. And that was pretty much what you were programmed, you know, unless you were like in the super clever class where you might be able to go and do something else. You might be able to go to university, but pretty much generally, the programming was be a mechanic or a builder or a nurse. That was pretty much how it went. So I wanted to be a mechanic. Didn't fancy being a nurse. Um, and as from a young age, I'd always played around. You know, I was on a motorbike at the age of 7, so I was always into mechanical kind of stuff. And yeah, I wanted to be a mechanic. So first thing I did was got a list of every single garage in my area, in my local area, that I could cycle to because that was my only mode of transport at the time. I hadn't passed my test, you know, still being at school. Um, and I wrote to every single one asking if they had any apprenticeships or trainee positions. And it was over 50, I remember. And this is in the day of letters. So I hand wrote every letter and got a stamp and an envelope, and I posted every single one. And I got one reply. And I'll never forget it. It was one reply from a company it's not Meads, it's up near the seafront in Eastbourne. I want to say it was Millgap Garage. It might have been, and they might have relocated, but it was one company anyway. And they just replied, "Thanks for your letter. We're not taking anybody on at the moment." That was it. So that was kind of my world shattered because, you know, I just thought, well, I'm going to leave school and go and work as a mechanic, and that was world shattered. So then it was like, oh no, what do I do? So then I saw that it was kind of the chicken and egg scenario. If you didn't have any experience, you couldn't get the job, but you couldn't get the job without the experience. Or sorry, you couldn't get the experience without the job. So it's chicken and egg scenario. So I then decided to go to college for mechanics, and college life wasn't very pleasant for me. Bullying was a very prevalent thing when I grew up, and I was a tiny, skinny little stick, scared of my own shadow. Wouldn't say boo to a goose. I was the bully's perfect specimen. So I went to college for about 3 months. I enjoyed the actual practical side of college, wasn't great at the academic side of it, and got bullied a lot, picked on a lot. And that was pretty much how my school life was as well. I was picked on a lot at school. Again, bullies are just spineless, they're gutless people, and my attitude is completely different now. But bullies are gutless, cowards, and they always pick on the small and the weak. Um, and yeah, that was my school life. That was college. So I left college after 3 months, not having a clue what to do, but living at home. And back in the day, um, you need to get a job, you need to be paying your way, kind of thing. So I then went and worked for not fast food, for a frozen food manufacturer called Birdseye, just because my mum worked there. So it was an easy job for her to get me. And this is in the day when jobs were, there were lots available. The job centre had plenty of jobs, and you could just go and get a job, not necessarily the job you wanted, but a job. So I went to work there. Just seemed like a big skive and a bit of a lark. Eventually, I got a job loading lorries, which was quite funny because it was all by hand, and I was a skinny little weasel. Um, but I bulked up, and then various jobs, various bits and pieces, rattled around for a while. Eventually, got a job as a gunsmith, or a trainee gunsmith. Um, and that I loved that job, but then a guy called Michael Ryan went mad in a town called Hungerford in the UK, and the gun laws changed overnight, and I realised it's not the job for me because it ain't going to be a job anymore. And sure enough, within a week, the orders for gun-related products had halved, um, and yeah, I knew that the company was either going to go bust or was going to downsize, and certainly I was going to be a casualty. So I got out of that, and then I went to work. At the time, a friend of mine was working at a accident repair centre, and he said they need a job as a stripper and fitter, and I didn't even know what that was. If you do, great. If you don't, very briefly, it's the person that takes the car apart before it's repaired and painted, and the person that puts it back together. And he says, "Oh, they need a stripper and fitter," and I didn't have a clue. And he said, "Ah, it's all right. You'll easily get it." I'm like, "Why?" And he said, "Trust me, it's easy. You just take stuff apart and put it back together." And that's exactly how it was back in the day. So I rocked up for an interview, and they said, "Do you know how to take a car apart? Can you do this? Can you do that?" And I said, "Well, I've got a car and I work on it at the weekends because I did it. It wasn't on the road, but I had a car in a garage." And and they said, "Yeah, fine, you got the job." I was like, "Okay." Didn't have a clue, no clue. But that was in the day when companies would take you on who you were rather than you know what you had written on paper, etc. So I went out down to B&Q, spent £20 on tools. £20 was a lot of money back in the days. Um, and started working accident repair centre. First job, they put me in the paint shop, and I had to refurbish some steel wheels in black and silver, rub them down, mask them up, paint them silver, and then paint the bits black. They were Ross style wheels, if anybody remembers that. I spent 3 days on these wheels, um, which should have taken a couple of hours, maybe. If you say 3 hours, really. But I spent 3 days on them because I was, even at that age, finicky, perfectionist, trying to get everything as good as I could possibly get it rather than just bashing it out. So I've always had that kind of mindset, that mentality of trying. I started my career 33 years in accident repair, and I loved my job, but the last 6 months of it, I hated it. It just became about numbers and targets and not about people. And as soon as it stopped being about the people, I lost interest. That was it for me. It was dead. As soon as I progressed up into senior management, and it was all about the number and not the people, it was game over for me. So there you go, potted history. Very, very sorry it went on forever. Sorry, Muddy Waters, you did ask, it's your own fault. There's a reasonable level of trust I can develop if the person have a history of being right, but I agree with questioning everyone. I think it's not just everyone, it's everything. Don't believe anything, question everything. What's wrong with questioning? That's what I always say. You know, people say, "Oh, you always." I mean, I can remember when I was starting at the first accident repair centre I worked at. Every panel beater or paint sprayer that came in there that was any good, and I could tell that they were good, I latched onto them. You know, I'd get them. I'd run around and get the coffees for them. I'd get the car in and out for them. I'd help take the car apart, and I'd literally just latch onto them. But I absolutely did the head in, and I remember there was a guy called Drew, and I'll never forget this guy. Um, he was 6 foot, National Chopper Club. If you know the NCC, it's to the uninitiated, it's a different version of Hell's Angels. It's not, but get that in your head if you have no clue what NCC is. Anyhow, he was NCC, had a massive handlebar moustache, shaved head with a mohican and a plaited ponytail halfway down his back. Well over 6 foot, big geezer, covered in tattoos. Used to come to work on a chop, and I was like, but he's probably even to date, probably one of the most skilled panel beaters I ever saw. He's the only person I ever saw put a door skin on a car while the door was on the car. Didn't take the door off. He taught me loads of stuff, loads of quick stuff, but I drove him insane because whatever he asked me to do, I would always go, why? And it wasn't, do this. I would always say, yeah, no problem, but why? And I'd make him explain to me why he wanted me to do something a certain way. And in the end, that drove him up the wall. He would shout at me, just bloody do it, because I've said do it, And I go, yeah, okay, but why, and he, I drove him mad, but it was important for me to understand why you did things a certain way. And I've always had that kind of mentality. I've always wanted to understand something to be the best that I can be at that. If that's my chosen thing, if I want to be the best at something, that's what I'll do. So I've always had that kind of mentality. Yeah, so sorry, Alex. Yeah, I don't mean to distrust people, but just to question everything, because I don't think there's anything wrong with questioning everything. That's how you learn. Nobody learns from successes; they learn from failures, and you must question everything. You must ask questions about everything. If you just take what's being fed to you, what have you learned? You haven't learned anything. You won't even remember it. You just discovered my channel from Sam's channel. Oh, cool! Thank you. Hopefully, I can live up to your expectations. As I said, please rewatch this. We got cut off for a little while, but it's been crypto related, so please rewatch it as a standalone video. Skip through the bits that you're not interested in. Me waffling. It's raining again here. Nice. And yeah, it's just a brief outline of cryptocurrencies, what the topics have been about. And yeah, now we've sort of diversed off to anything else. But as I always say, please feel free to ask me anything you want. I try to get as many live streams in as I can so that people have that opportunity to ask a real question if somebody sat in Russia, right here, right now. So wherever you are in the world, if you want to know something specific about Russia or about my situation, where I am, what I'm doing, you can ask it. And if you're watching this as a rerun, join my Telegram channel, ask a question on there. But I think that will do for today. I've been on for a couple of hours, more than a couple of hours. Blimey, time flies when you're having fun. So yeah, like I say, please join my Telegram group. Ask anything you want. Send me an email if you want, or look out for the next live stream. Got some things coming up. I've been trying to get out and do some videos, but it's either been the weather, it's been just way too windy, or I'm in my current state where I felt like rubbish. but I'm hoping to get out tomorrow. I've got a couple of things that I want to get done, so hopefully bring some new video content. And we've got obviously existing content going on, which is the rebuilding of our house, the roof terrace, which is ripped up at the moment in the rain. That should be fun. And we've got the sauna build going on, so hope to be bringing some updates to that. I was hoping that they were going to be here today, but as it's raining, I guess they ain't. So yeah, some more content coming soon in video form, and also, like I say, in live streams. Hopefully got some collaborations coming up with live streams soon. I'm waiting to hear back from somebody that keeps saying, yes, let's do a live stream, and then doesn't. Russell, poor form, man. Shame on you. Um, and a couple of other people as well I've got in the pipeline. So thanks for watching. As I always say, I'll see you in the next one.